You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation live from the White Cane Coffee Cafe, which is open in the plaza across from Tops all through the downtown construction this summer. Stop on in, get yourself a fresh cup of Dragon's Roast, or as you can see this morning, I've got some frozen lemonade, which I told everybody last week was fantastic. Put my money where my mouth is this morning with the frozen lemonade. So stop in, get yourself a fresh cup, say hi to the friendly folks here at White Cane. And if you don't want to deal with that construction, that's no problem. White Cane's also available online on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also order your favorite roast to brew at home online on whitecanecoffee.com. And now you've seen her in the commercials that we play in the Morning Cup of News and right here on Coffee and a Conversation. Well, now you get to hear from her yourself as we welcome in very special guest, Erin Willman. Thank you so much for coming on Coffee and a Conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's kind of your show. You know, you guys, you sponsor the show. So it's really, thank you for allowing us to have the show. I think is maybe how we should say that. But
I mean, you guys bring a valuable resource to the community. I mean, people need to know what's going on. So absolutely, we would support you guys.
Well, thank you. And we absolutely appreciate your sponsorship, and certainly hope everyone out there is thoroughly enjoying, especially this show. This show is one of my favorites. I got to say, the Coffee and a Conversation. It's so interesting to hear what different people have to say, and you get perspectives and viewpoints that you don't necessarily get in those quote unquote professional settings. And it's so nice to hear people just kind of take the guards off a little bit and really explain what it is they're feeling or how they see things, and really to share their view of what Warren County is and what it can be. And as a non-native of Warren County, Bob has told me several times you guys were drawn here specifically by the former LEC, the Learning Enrichment Center. So explain a little bit about that. What was it so appealing about the LEC that brought you guys here?
Well, I was a gifted kid, but my old school did not have a very good gifted program. It was sort of you have a half hour once a week and good luck. And then we had to move out there. It was just not a very conducive place to grow up. So we looked around and we found the LEC here, and we're just like, yes, we need this. And so we came here. It was amazing. I met so many people who are gifted in different ways. Like, I am not math gifted, but I knew people who could see math and were just brilliant at it. I was a code geek, but it was so incredible just seeing all of these different kids who were great at their thing. And so it was just such a shame when we heard after I graduated that the LEC shut down, because I ended up graduating early. But it's a shame that that's no longer a part of the community, especially saying that that's what brought us here. And I think the only other legitimate gifted school is in Philadelphia, I think. So
yeah, and it's funny. I mean, I was also a gifted kid years now ago. Unfortunately, I'm at that point now where I have to add that second in years. But ironically enough, I was one of the first students that had a chance to get into the LEC. And it's funny because at that point, it wasn't quite what it would become.
Yeah.
And I was far enough along in my high school career that it was maybe, I don't know. There's some cool stuff here, but I don't know how much I'm going to be able to take advantage of this. But it is so great to hear that something that I know a lot of people put a lot of time and effort and energy into became something that was a draw for people to come to Warren County and really plant some roots here, because obviously you guys are still here after you've graduated. And what was it about Warren County that once you got here, you guys decided this is where you wanted to stay?
It was just such a community here. I mean, even just starting up before we even started the business, just like there is a community that wants to do things. So, I mean, and the library has its game nights, and just the fact that we had a very close with the library was just like such a gift. And just there are things here in Warren that are, we have the theater program. We have things in this town. We could have more things in this town, but especially for our younger people, but just like there's a lot going on in this town, and so we stayed a lot for that. But I kind of want to circle back.
Sure.
What was your thing? And when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I mean, obviously it was writing. I mean, so no, I was not a math person. Coding was really, as far as like something that would be in a high school curriculum, was really in its infancy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were still using dial-up internet at that point, and it had just kind of really started to make its way here. I mean, I remember I was in junior high school, I think, the first time one of my friends got AOL, and there's a group of like 6 of us just kind of hovered over his computer that took up 5 feet of space in the room, and and we're waiting and tapping our fingers and waiting, like, come on, connect, and you finally get that connection, and then you'd be good for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden it would drop, or somebody would pick up the other phone line and hey, we're on the internet. And so that was, again, it's just to explain that to my kids now, like, they come looking at me like, yeah, sure, Grandpa, yeah, you had to use the phone to get on the internet or whatever. But
yeah, I feel like I might have also sort of missed that. When I say coding, I like I did take a computer coding class. I wasn't great at it, but my thing was, I used to know, like it's one of the reasons why I'm so good at Braille, was just like, if you gave me a set of symbols and told me this is the sentence, I could figure it out very quickly. So when I had to learn Braille, I learned it very fast.
And so what was that experience like? I mean, we were talking a little bit about, before we came on air, about, you lost your sight in those awkward kind of teen years. And
yeah.
I mean, to go through that, everybody's goes through that, puberty phase and that awkward teen phase, but then to have to deal with losing your sight on top of all of that. What was that experience?
I'm not gonna lie, losing your vision when you're 15 is rough. It there was like a good couple months where, or just like, you're down on for through the count, but eventually you pick yourself up and you're just like, okay, how do we adapt to this situation? Just like, I can't, like, for like the first couple months, there's like this wall right next to my bedroom, and I had like a permanent bruise on my arm just because I kept hitting it. Just like, all right, we need to figure out how to use a cane. I need to learn how to read again, because I was in the middle of a book series when I lost my vision. Still never finished it, sadly. But
what series?
Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
All right.
One day.
One day you'll get there.
It's just audio, because there's a Southern character and just like, she's so like hardcore and like tough, and the person voicing her made her sound so dainty. Just like, no, you ruined her.
And it's a lot. You hear that a lot, and I do this a lot. I can't go see a movie based on a book if I've read the book before, because it's everything that you've envisioned in your mind of what characters should look like, what they should sound like, and it doesn't, and it's
Yeah.
kind of the same thing, you know.
Oh yeah, you will critique it
Yep.
to absolute bits.
Now, do you prefer, when you are reading, do you prefer like an audiobook or a reader, or would you prefer to read in Braille?
Well, I like reading in Braille. The thing is, your fingers will actually go numb after a while, so I do tend to go more audiobook or screen reader just for easier access.
And not to get your fingers
Yeah.
on. So you can enjoy a cup of frozen lemonade while you're reading. And so I guess that kind of brings us to, you know, you guys have started this business. It's very popular, very successful. One of my favorite stops. But at what point did you kind of say to yourself, coffee? Coffee is the way, you know, we kind of impact the world here from our little corner.
All right, story time.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so once I learned how to read Braille, once I learned how to get around, once I learned everything you're supposed to do to be a functioning member of society while being disabled, it's just like, all right, time to join the workforce. We went around, no one hired me. All they ever saw was the white cane. Like you could hear them basically putting my resume in the trash. And it's disheartening. And after you do that over and over again, you're just like, you get back into that sort of down place. And so it came to a point where me and Dad were just sort of talking, just like, this sucks. And so this is sort of like get me out of that funk. We started playing a game just like, if you had this much money, what would you do with it? And so we started talking about starting a coffee company that employs disabled people, because if I'm not getting hired, other disabled people aren't getting hired. So, and then we just kept building on that for days to weeks until eventually we're just like, are we doing this? And I don't think I really sort of picked up that we were doing this until like, just like, hey, could you make a logo?
Yeah, it sounds very familiar. That was kind of our origin stories. We were that summer that Andy and I got laid off. It was, you know, we'd been talking about creating our own site for a long time, and you know, we really started talking about it once we got laid off, and then, you know, about July hit, we were going, wait, we're doing this now. But it's, you know, it's for us. I know it's been great. You know, and I know you guys have changed locations, and this seems to be, you know, kind of a better fit for you. Some more open space, and really allow people to come in and sit down and have a cup of coffee. And
we've been able to try new things like baked goods here, which we weren't able to do at the old location. And again, coffee, I've always described it as like the great uniter. So like people, whether they're disabled or completely able-bodied, they can come together and learn about each other and just connect over something that we all will drink for the most part. And if you don't drink coffee, again, we have our lemonades, we have our hot chocolates, we have iced tea.
Yes.
Come on over.
Shameless plug, yes, shameless plug. I love it. But you know, and that was something else that we were kind of, you know, talking about. We had about a half-hour long gap session before we went on air. You know, that this has the potential to become a place here in Warren County where people can come and meet, and, you know, maybe go on a date or whatever, and not have to worry about, you know, some of the pressures or the societal implications that go along with, you know, going to a place that serves alcohol.
Yeah, because I'm sober just because it's like I have a lot of family members on who struggle with alcoholism, and so growing up, seeing that, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to go down that road. So just like I don't drink just personally, and there's not a lot of places, sadly, in Warren where they're just like drinking isn't a big thing. I mean, there's like a few restaurants, but just like there's not enough places for sober people to just go and hang out and meet people and just sort of have a date. And so we hope to eventually have night hours here where people can meet up over coffee and just sort of have that. And even when we got this space, we're just like, it's big enough that eventually we would like to do other things, like maybe open mic nights or like karaoke nights, or just like have dances here, just because it's something that young people can do here that you can't really do at a bar without sort of that social stigma to it.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break and have a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back to talk about more of what's perhaps to come here at White Cane Coffee. This is Coffee and a Conversation. We'll be right back.
The only thing worse than being stuck at home is being stuck at home without coffee. We can't let that happen. Browse our selection and order online. From sweet to tangy, hot or iced, we have something for you. White King Coffee, because every cup makes a difference. Cheers.
And welcome back as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you here on Your Daily Local, along with special guest Erin Willman of White Cane Coffee. And, we were talking just before the break there about, some of the things that potentially this new location for you here in the plaza across from Tops, right next to Anytime Fitness, can potentially become in the future. And I know, in the numerous conversations I've had with your dad here, you've got potentially some big plans beyond just the cafe. And as a young business owner in this community, how do you think that helps you as far as looking ahead to the future and saying, hey, we've got big plans and we've got the drive and determination to make it
Don't really quite know how to answer that one, but I don't think I've ever really considered settling for less. I mean, ever since we started this, it was really only just like, we want to be bigger than Starbucks. Just like wherever there are disabled people, there should be a place for employment for them. And why not White Cane Coffee? So we never really thought just like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to be the best blind business owner. I just want to be the best.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was, speaking of the best, you were just recently second year in a row named Best Organic Coffee, and but we were kind of talking about some of the awards and the accolades that White Cane has received, and some of those, like you said, it's like you're almost being rewarded for being a person or a business owner who just treats people the way they should be treated. How much of that went into the planning stages of this? I know obviously you wanted this to be a place where other disabled people could find work, but how much of that, like, we want to treat all of our employees as people should be treated, went into the planning stages of this and really became a mission statement?
From the very beginning. Again, just like even when we were conceptualizing, this was, I've always said, people are people, no matter their creed, color, ability, it doesn't matter. All people have a right to gainful employment. All people have a right to being respected. Everyone deserves the right to be treated like a person. And whenever there's a situation where that's not the situation, I get a little bit upset. So, yeah, I'm going to push back against that. So, so that's just who I am as a person. And so, yeah, I don't take people looking down on other people very lightly.
And how has that kind of, that fierceness, I guess, it's the best word I can use to describe that. When that kind of comes out, how has that served you, as a business owner, when you're kind of going after things and saying, hey, we need this to help our business grow, but we need to help our business grow because we can be the model for other businesses and how people should be treated?
So it's sort of a 50-50 sometimes when it comes to reaction. Some people are just like, yes, we will get behind this, while also simultaneously people will be just like, we are getting schooled by this young 20-something-year-old girl. Like, who does she think she is? But, like, I don't care. Just like, it's like, I'm, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep trying to be better because I don't want to stagnate, or just like, because people will look at disabled businesses or just disabled people and think less. That's why all of our coffee, all of our products, they have to be the best possible grade it can be, because people will assume the worst until they try it.
Yeah. And please do try it because it's fantastic. Not just the frozen lemonade that I'm sampling right now, but also, and I mean, I kind of experienced a little bit of that the first time I brought a bag home, and because I think so many people equate sometimes expensive coffee with or homegrown or brewed coffee with something that they're going to go get at like a Starbucks or Tim Hortons or whatever, which is not good. Because that's what we've become accustomed to, right? As a society, is you're paying essentially premium dollar
for a brand.
Yes. And so even my wife was like, I don't know if this is, but I brewed a pot and I gave her some and she tried it. And this is great. And now it's essentially all that we drink. We had a little Maxwell House we had to get through the system.
I'm so sorry.
But and now it's all that we drink, and it's like, okay, yeah, we paid a little bit more, but we're helping local business, and we're paying that little bit of extra for a quality product that we actually enjoy. And I think it's just, again, so many people have that. Oh, I'm paying a little bit more for it. I pay a little bit more for this other brand over here, and it's not very good, and maybe I don't want to try that. And how much of that kind of stigma have you guys had to kind of overcome here, just getting people?
Oh, just like when we first started out, we would have people come in just like, oh, even my own family, like my extended family would be just like, oh, how great that you're starting a coffee company, or we'll come in for a cup to support the little blind girl, and then they have a cup just like, oh my God, it's good. and then they would keep coming back. So yeah, they would come in for pity, but they would keep coming because we have a quality product.
And so you just kind of, we're going to support the little blind girl, and again, as you kind of touched on a little bit ago, as a young 20-something female business owner who also happens to be blind. I mean, there's a lot of different kind of groups here that you fall into that are not your prototypical business owners.
Oh yeah.
And so
I am aware.
But so how much does that drive you? And what kind of obstacles have you had to overcome, not just for being blind, or not just for being a woman, or not just for being but kind of combining all of those things all at once?
I think getting some of that pushback makes me push back even more, just to the point where I will go to different groups and talk to them about how to start their own coffee companies, or their own companies in general, because a lot of disabled people, the second they turn 18, they are on their own, and they really have no idea what to do next. So I go out there, I talk to them like people, which a lot of them, sometimes that's like the first time that's ever happened to them. Like, oh my gosh, we're being talked to like people. It's incredible. So I will go there to them. Just like, one of my favorite things is talking to schools, especially because I will tell them straight up, just like, I hate to sound corny, but you guys do know you are the future of the industry. And the funny thing is, we did that once, and like, I could hear some of them get like choked up, and they're just like, that means so much of you guys to say that, and I could hear their teacher in the back go, "Guys, I tell you this every day," and so we had to laugh.
Yeah. And so again, when you're talking about you're going through the whole planning process and you open a business, did you ever think that it would lead to now you're being asked to go speak at schools and other different venues and what has that been like, and what was it like the first time somebody asked you to come and speak in front of an audience?
I mean, I've never been afraid of public speaking. I'm actually way worse in crowds. But I think like the first question I ever got, I ever like sort of responded back to when I was asked to talk in front of people is why? Like, I'm not that interesting. But apparently a lot of people find me interesting and I don't quite get it. I still don't quite get it, but no, I keep pushing to, I hate to use the word, but to inspire people to find their own way, to find their own path, and to make something. Because yeah, it sucks being disabled. It sucks being looked down upon, and it sucks if you lose your vision at a weird time in your life, and you have to readapt to the world because it's an able-bodied world, and it was made that way. So to adapt to it's difficult, but you can come out of it still stronger and better, and you can make something of it.
You talk about the adaptations and things like that. What was the hardest part for you? Was it reading the braille? Was it learning to use the cane? When you had to make all those adaptations, what was the hardest one for you to fully grasp?
The cane was difficult. I mean, the braille was took its own time because while I was learning braille, that's when they switched to United English Braille. Like halfway while I was learning, just like, all right, have to relearn some things. That's okay. We'll figure this out. But the cane was a little bit tricky. Just like how to use it in certain situations. The funny thing is, when I was first starting to learn how to use my cane, my dad also signed me up for bow staff lessons because he straight up said, "You are a small blind girl. People are going to look at you as a target. Do not be a victim." And so we go to the class, and the teacher's just like, "I don't know how to teach a blind person." And I straight up go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do zombies only come out during the day?" He's like, "Fair enough." Yeah. And so he would like instruct me on like how like he would adjust my stance with his own cane, just like he would like move my arm up or move my leg back using his own cane. And so yeah, I'm a black belt in both staff.
Oh, wow. Okay, see something else. We learn something every time. I tell you, that's what I said. This is my favorite show to do because every time we do it, I learn something about somebody that I had no idea of. And you talked about with the techniques and stuff, and there's multiple techniques in using the cane and again, I think that's one of those things that most people don't even it never enters their consciousness.
And different types of cane and like which one works for you, and or just like a lot of people use the classical cane. I don't, just because I don't like the vibrations that go through it. It gets sort of muddled for me. Mm-hmm. There are also different tips for different canes, and for like there are those for runners for those who enjoy that. But just like so I went with a very basic standard cane. And what's wild is how expensive a basic standard cane is. Yeah. Like everything for disabled people is expensive. Mm-hmm. But like I remember, like it was like a couple years after I went blind, just like that show Daredevil came out, and like I would watch it with my brothers, and they'd be like, "Yep," and he just threw his cane in a way to go parkour around the city. I'm just like, dude, that's like $70. They already established you're poor. You better go back for that.
Forget the fact that he's a blind guy doing parkour and beating people up across. He's throwing his cane away. Come on.
Like in the first episode, they say that like they could barely afford a coffee machine, and he's throwing away his expensive cane to go parkour. I'm just like, bro, you better be going back for that.
And so, one of the things that people, will often say is if you lose, your sight or your hearing or whatever, that some of your other senses become heightened.
Partially true.
Partially true. Okay, only partially.
I have extremely sensitive hearing, like, and my sense of touch is I'm very tactile, but just like when I first went blind, the world was deafening. Just like I remember like the first month I lost my vision. I heard someone's car get broken into like 2 blocks away from my house. I'm just like, well, can't do anything about that.
Come on, Daredevil, that's your thing right now. Come on. But were there any? You said you were kind of a tactile person. Was that always the case, or did that come after you lost your sight?
I was always the case, and then it heightened. So just like I remember, like even as a kid, like me and my dad, we would like go to like the fabric area of stores, and just like we would touch things and like get in trouble doing that.
Yeah.
So, but then like after I lost my vision, certain fabrics are just like, no, we can't touch that ever again. Just like, no, that's waxy. No, can't do that.
And so there are like certain things that you just can't. Is it the texture or the sensation? It's just too much.
Yeah, it's just don't even get into being like overwhelmed by sound.
Oh,
because then because like I come from like a really big extended family. Family functions are a nightmare just because I can't tune out everyone's conversation, so I'm hearing everyone all at once. So it can be difficult if someone is talking to me directly, because I might not hear them because I'm hearing everyone else in the room.
Yeah, one of my kids is very much a tactile sensitive, hypersensitive to things. And I mean, that even when she was a baby, it was very calming, but also frustrating at times, because we'd give her a bottle, and while she was drinking the bottle, she would take her hand and just rub her fingers across our knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
And with that light baby's touch, right? And you're sitting there going, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, but I want a nap because you are putting me to sleep right now. But she's very much the same way. Like, there are just, even today, there are just certain things that the touch or the feel, especially with food.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very much like no, I can't. But then there's other things that she just gravitates toward.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, is that kind of true for you now? There's
Absolutely.
certain things that you almost seek out.
I mean, that's sort of always been a thing due to my autism, but it's sort of gotten heightened once I lost my vision. So yeah.
Well, I think with that, we'll take another quick break, and then we'll come back and do a quick wrap up. And you are watching Coffee and a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee. We will be right back after this.
Have you ever wanted to play an instrument? The Warren Music Conservatory is the area's only choice for premier music education, with the area's top music instructors giving you fun and exciting music lessons for a variety of instruments and styles. The Music Conservatory also rents and repairs instruments of all types. And don't forget to stop in and check out our student bookstore for your musical supplies like strings, sticks, picks, and more. What are you waiting for? Stop dreaming. Start doing today.
And welcome back to Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you here on your Daily Local. Erin Willman joining us, our special guest this week on Coffee and a Conversation, presented by White Cane Coffee. And Erin, through all of this, I think most people would look at your story and your business and say, wow, you kind of made it. But again, just the conversations that I've had with mom and dad throughout the last few months, you're not even close to that. So what in your mind, what would making it, quote unquote, making it look like for you and for White Cane Coffee?
I don't think there's ever truly a making it. I think there is a sort of, we will constantly adapt and grow to the situation. Like even with the pandemic, we adapted to that and we came out of it just as solid as we did as anyone could. But I feel like as the world keeps progressing, we're going to keep progressing. Like again, and I said earlier, I want wherever there are disabled people, that anywhere that disabled people live, I want there to be a place of employment, and why not White Cane?
Yeah.
So, just like as grateful as I am for the awards, that is not how I sort of judge success. The way I judge success is how many people have I impacted. Like how like we will constantly find out that other businesses have started putting Braille on things, or like there is a beer company that now has Braille on its cans, and they call it Braille Ale. And we message them and saying, hey, welcome to the Inclusivity Club. And so the more that we can make things accessible to people, and the more that people with disabilities feel empowered in order to do things, like, again, it's cool that I get these awards, but it's more impactful to me that if there is some kid out there on who's disabled, on who hears that, hey, this disabled girl won an award, maybe I can do something like that too. That is way more impactful to me than any trophy or award could ever be.
Except for that one that has that $1 million, right? You're gonna live that lifestyle for your dad, right?
Yes, dad is helping towards the Nobel Prize so he can live the life that he would like to become accustomed to.
Probably the life that most of us would like to become accustomed to. But I, in the kind of maybe not short term, but midterm, what do you see as the next steps for yourself and for White Cane? And you talked about some evening hours and some of those kind of things, but even maybe beyond that.
I don't know what all I can give away because we have something in the works right now.
Okay. Wow.
But I think all I can say without giving up too much is, where around where the Warren Mall is, keep a close eye on that area.
Okay.
We're thinking about doing some stuff around there.
Well, that's good. I'd like to see that area become bustling and thriving again, and I'm sure anything that White Cane can do will only help propel that to a faster resolution. So we will definitely be keeping our ear to the grindstone and our lookout for that and see what the future holds for you. Erin, again, thank you so much for taking some time and coming on the show. And again, thank you so much for White Cane for sponsoring not only Coffee and a Conversation, but the Morning Cup of News every weekday morning at 8:30 on your daily local. Don't forget to tune in.
Always be plugging.
always be pushed. Shameless self-promotion is a skill that I have probably mastered over the last 3 years. Anywhere, anytime, I'm throwing that plug out. But again, thank you guys so much. And
but you put it in there so smooth, just like our dark roast.
Yeah. So again, not just for sponsoring us, but for being a local business, and a local business that gives back to the local community. Again, so many places around here are shop local, buy local, and you guys, again, you put your money where your mouth is, and just like we try to do at your daily local. So again, thank you for that, and I certainly hope that we'll be visiting again sometime in the near future, maybe after some of those plans come to fruition, and letting everybody know all about them. But Erin, again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And again, thank you for doing what you do and letting people know what's going on in our community.
We try to fill those news deserts as much as we can, and hopefully we're providing a service that people are finding valuable. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for this week. Don't forget to tune in every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. And again, don't forget, every weekday morning at 8:30 a.m., your morning cup of news fueled by White Cane Coffee. Sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm at home. Either way, I've got myself a fresh cup of usually Dragon's Roast. That's my preference at this point. And saying that, I forgot to ask. I knew it. I knew I was going to forget to ask this. What's your favorite roast?
Oh man, that's a tricky one. Because I'm gonna be honest, I am a flavored girl. So anytime that we have like any of our mint out, just like I go for it. Just like I know who I am.
And not ashamed to show it. All right, with that, we'll wrap it up for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. For Erin Willman, this is Brian Hagberg saying thanks for watching.
Bye,
and
guys.
Have a great weekend.
Have
everybody.
a nice day.
You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.